those days, the great philosophical and scientific footings were laid down, and we have only inherited the skill to make certain improvements upon original revelations. Therefore, the great period of revelation is not now. The great period of revelation gave the world Pythagoras and Akhenaton and Moses, Zoroaster, Buddha, Krishna, all the great scholars and wisdom teachers of the past. Now, why was that the way it is? Why were those days better for the development of wisdom than ours? I think probably the answer to this is reasonably evident, namely an uncluttered existence. Our ancestors did not have the great ambitions that we have. Even our forebears in this country had no such vast ambitions as we are courting today. In those days, people lived close to nature, which was a great advantage. They lived in a simple natural environment that had not been spoiled completely. True, they lived in company with some unpleasant animals and things of this nature, and quite early began to develop feuds among themselves. But generally speaking, primitive man lived in a natural world. And living in a natural world, when he tried to create a philosophy of life with very limited resources with which to work, and not really any understanding that there was a philosophy of life, he began to build his way of living by studying the life of the world around him. There is an account, I don't know whether it's completely factual or traditional, to the effect that speech came from nature, that long before the individual was able to have words or created alphabets, he copied natural sounds. And having the proper structure in the throat to do so, he was able to imitate the sound of a waterfall, or a wind through trees, or the cries of birds and animals. And this seemingly was the beginning of language. He found it possible to tell his neighbor or communicate certain ideas, feelings, impulses by accepting the sounds of the natural world. He knew sounds that frightened him and sounds that pleased him. He knew sounds of birth and sounds of death. And from all these he began to develop a series of sounds which became gradually letters of a primitive alphabet. But these sounds came definitely from the natural world. So did everything else he had. He had to come to the conclusion that if he was ever going to understand the invisible, he must be able to find it in the visible. Almost all old theologies are merely abstractions of natural phenomena. The gods were the powerful chieftains. All of the rules and laws attributed to deities were the result of human relationships testing the possibility of community existence. So little by little we built a world in which nature provided the only available facts. These facts could be by careful meditation perhaps, or constant reinvestigation, could become truths. And this in a sense is the beginning of modern science in 17th century Europe. Namely, that there were truths that could be built upon facts. That these facts could become the basis of rules. That these facts, by constant repetition and investigation, showed nature's way in a great many directions. It made it possible to decide internally, to a measure at least, what nature expected us to do. On the basis of nature would penalize anything that was not within its own approval. So little by little the science of nature began to take the form of a natural philosophy. A natural philosophy that was based upon the seasons, upon the climates, upon the various nature phenomena, from everything from the gently flowing stream to the volcanic eruption. All these things had to be fitted into something supported by facts. And facts were things that you could see, that you could touch, or you could in some way have a direct contact. Now, from facts, the problem of truths resulted in morality. Morality was really the moral interpretation of facts. It was a fact made alive and vivid through experience. The individual taking the fact and working with it discovered finally that it had within itself a meaning, a moral value, that it produced good consequences, that it advanced causes, whereas error nearly always destroyed. So little by little the truth factor came in. And after a long time with truth, the mind and consciousness began to ascend to a higher level, and this was reality. Reality is, in a sense, the higher octave of truth. It is something that is gradually built into our understanding as a complicated network of truths, working together, and through their interaction producing what we call reality. Reality is the final proof of the truth of a fact. And on this basis, we have built most of the learning that we know today. Now, it also follows that from the beginning of time, individuals, in a mysterious way, began to question themselves. The caveman probably was among the first to ask why he was created in the first place. The answer has not yet been found. Most people haven't the slightest idea where they're here. They have no idea where they came from, except biologically, and nowhere near any more from where they're going, except in terms of the mortuary. All of the rest is a noble internal reaction to something. The individual was not willing to accept the fact alone. He had to build it into a moral value which became his truth, and he finally had to accept it and live it and grow because of it, and that way contact reality. So we're going to now question how the people of today or of long ago continued their search for reality. And what did they use to open the doors between the visible and the invisible? How did they expect to attain a concrete, visual, audible reality? Well, in the earliest days that we know of, there were in all tribes and nations certain mystics. And these mystics were persons who were given to strange dreams, visions, curious experiences, which did not limit their consciousness entirely to the common world. Somewhere along the line, dreams became a part of man's structure of searching. A dream had certain technical advantages. It could be described, it could also be experienced, and it could be, in a sense, fitted into the social pattern. A dream might, therefore, pertain to a world or vision or place beyond this life. A vision could be an experience of that which is beyond conscious contemplation. Now, of course, for a long time, dreams were considered as symbolic of mystical values. Dreams were the basis of healing in ancient Greece. Dreams were the basis of social growth among the American Indians. Dreams were always something a little beyond, a little intangible, but sufficiently substantial to be recalled, to be remembered, and to be shared with other people. Now, dreams also gave another proportion to consciousness. Dreams often were centered in some other place than the one that we are familiarly acquainted with. While we lived in our comparative modest dwellings, we had dreams of temples and palaces and shrines and great mountains, hierarchies of celestial beings, and all the mysterious mechanism of Dante's Divine Comedy. All of these things could be experienced, And we might add, to be practical, they were perhaps best experienced after reading Dante's Divine Comedy, because that type of reading placed certain attitudes or ideas in the subconscious of the human being. And gradually, as intellectualism increased and improved, the individual not only began to downgrade his dreams, but also to change them to meet the changing social conditions of his times. But dreams were a sleep phenomena that has played a part in man's evolution from the very earliest time. Now, there have always been natural mystics. These natural mystics were not necessarily psychics. They had experiences, but these experiences were inward revelations. The true mystic was not telling his neighbor what was going to happen to him. The true mystic was exploring a realm or a vista far greater than the material world in which he lived. Perhaps among the great mystics we should mention Johann Tauler, Jacob Boehme, and Emanuel Swedenborg. These persons came from different areas of life, different levels of culture, but also had similar experiences. Swedenborg was a scientist of high standing, and Boehme was a shoemaker, and Tauler was a monk. These different people all had mystical experiences, and these experiences resulted largely from a great longing or a great yearning, or, as in the case of several of them, a great tragedy in their personal lives. There came a time, and there's always a time, when an individual who becomes sorry for himself, perhaps quite legitimately, not simply an emotional state of affairs, but a frustration of the real values of living. The individuals of this type may retire into themselves and live in a world of constructive and idealistic fantasies. But are they fantasies? This is also a question that has never been satisfactorily solved to meet everyone's requirements. But we also know that...
Okay, so this is what's gonna happen. This is like a pre-video or whatever that I'm making for myself. I'll probably end up showing it. Okay, I have some news to tell y'all, and what that is that I got a strike. And so when y'all do see this video, it's gonna be next week sometime. I haven't, let's see, today the 22nd, so it'll be the 29th. Well, I think it'll be the 30th because 7 days from now is the 29th, so it'll probably be that Wednesday when I come back on live and stuff like that. But yeah, I got a strike because I, it's a copyright strike. That's what it is. Just say it like that. But I still will be releasing the video tonight, so that's gonna be there. And I'm still gonna make the video that I was intending upon making, tonight around about 5 or 6. It just ain't gonna be live, but I'm still gonna make it. And yes, I learned my lesson. But I went crazy with, you know, recording videos today, but that's okay. We're gonna stop with that. I think I got enough information anyway for y'all to, really get the bigger picture of what I'm trying to explain to you all. So I guess I'll be back later because won't be no live, but I will be doing that video, but it just won't be live now. Sorry, you guys. That shit ain't gonna happen no more because I'm just gonna explain it to y'all the best I can and use, my notes and use some of my content that I've, wrote, years ago, and that'll work for us. I just wanted to let y'all know that it's other people talking about the things that I'm talking about, and then they was able to better explain it better than I was. So that's all it is. But yeah, when y'all see this video, it should be on the 30th. But anywho, until next time, see y'all later. Hey y'all, this is supposed to be the time that I started my live reading, but because of the happening, there will be no live reading this evening. So I'm going to just do it pre-recorded and then share that with you guys. Let me begin. And what I wanted to talk about is, excuse me, I want to touch bases with some words that I think are interesting. How about that? Yeah, I'll sit down. Yeah, I'll sit down. Do it this way. All right. So what I'll be reading is gonna be some definitions that I think are interesting that I'm gonna share with you guys. So here we go. The kingdom of the universe. Thought is the only action of the mind, but your habitual thoughts you create corresponding external physical conditions because you thereby create the nucleus, which attracts to itself its own correspondence in due order until the finished work is manifested on the material plane. All right, absolute. That which is free from limit restrictions or qualifications. An ideal from which the elements of time and space are entirely absent. Example. Thinking in the absolute will be simply dwelling upon the intrinsic qualities of love without reference to whom you love or the various forms through which love expresses itself. Mind is absolute because it is self reaction. Being life. Being life is that unformed power of life which controls circumstances and conditions. Belief. A certain quality and the creative power of thought, which manifests on the external plane in exact correspondence to the quality of belief entertained. I'm gonna read that again. Belief, a certain quality in the creative power of thought, which manifests on the external plane in exact correspondence to the quality of belief entertained. Body, the instrument through which thoughts and feelings are expressed. The envelope of the soul. Brain, the instrument through and in which the action of the universal parent mind expresses itself in specific forms and individual thoughts. Brain is not the mind, but the mind instruments. Let me read that again. Brain is not the mind, but the mind's instrument. Christ. Now check this out. Since everybody been thinking Christ means something else. Christ, a state of consciousness which is altogether good and positive, an equality of feelings which manifests in physical form. That's what Christ is. Now you see why it says Jesus Christ or the Christ. They put so much emphasis on Christ. Now y'all get it? Circumstances. The outward effect which corresponds to inward tendencies of thought. Concentration. Bring the mind into a condition of equilibrium which enables us to consciously direct the flow of spirit to our definite recognition, recognized purpose, and then carefully to guard our thoughts from inducing a flow in the opposite direction. I'm going to read that again. Concentration. Bring the mind into a condition of equilibrium which enables us to consciously direct the flow of spirit to a definite recognized purpose, and then carefully to guard our thoughts from inducing a flow in the opposite direction. Conditions. The results of mental tendencies. Harmonious thoughts produce harmonious physical and material conditions which still reacts to thought. Consciousness, activity of mind which enable it to distinguish itself from the physical form in which it manifests. Create, to bring into existence. That's it. Thought is creative because it always brings into physical or objective existence forms which corresponds to itself. I'm going to read that again. Thought is creative because it always brings to physical form or objective existence form which corresponds to itself. Death, absence of life, loss of consciousness which no capacity to regain it. Example. If a thought has been absolutely eliminated from the consciousness and cannot be recalled, it is dead to you. Faith. The divine purpose and individual faith or correlation combine them, and there is no limit to what you can do through the creative power and this quality of thought. Every thought to have faith in God, universe, the creative energy of life, is a call to have faith in the power of your own thought about God. Proud, a confident, expectant attitude of mind. Such a mental attitude renders your mind receptive to the creative action of the spirit of life. Have faith in the force of your own thought. Your individual thought is the specialized working of the creative power of life, all life. Intelligence, the universal infinite mind. The highest intelligence is that mind which understands itself as the instrument through the intelligence which brought it into existence operates. Love. Universal life and universal laws are one. The law of your being in your life is that you are made in the image of God. The creative power which brought you into existence because you are God's very self specialized. The law of your life is that your mind is the individualization of your universe mind at the state of self evolution, in which your mind attains the capacity for reasoning from the seen to the unseen, I said and thus penetrating behind the veil of outward appearance. Because of the reproduction of the divine creative faculties in yourself, your mental state or modes or thought are bound to externalize themselves in your body and your circumstances. You are made in the image of God. Faith gives substance to things unseen, the unseen word or thought. I'm going to read this one more time what I said previously. It says, because the reproduction of the divine creative faculties in yourself, your mental states or modes of thought are bound to internalize themselves in your body, in your circumstances. Traveler, the spirit, a self-creating power which acts and reacts upon itself, reproducing itself in inconceivable ways from the cosmos of man. Just as your mind acts and reacts upon itself when you are memorizing origins of all visible things. The embodiment of stored consciousness, a self-acting and self-reacting, non-physical creative power or force. Its action can only be thought because thought is the only conceivable non-physical action. Thought, the specialized action of the original creative spirit or mind. Truth, that which lives in your that which lives in you is the truth to you. That which lives in you is the truth to you. That is truth. See, everybody thinks that I have to speak on what they believe truth, but I believe this is true because of my experience with the knowledge and with the experience that I've had based upon the knowledge that I've gained. That's why I believe the law of attraction and the universal laws is the truth based upon my experience and how I use the word decipher. I decipher things that happen because within this realm, this is just like a replay of what has already happened. And it's like, is you being your higher self, or what I call the inner guidance, you are able to like preconceive things before it happens, because you're it. You the guide. You the all knowers. You the mind that is aware of itself now. So if you're aware of itself, you already know what's going to happen. But that takes training though. Like I got it's an experience that I had. And it's like I knew what was about to happen, but the thing is, when we know something and we can like give a preconceived notion about something, we doubt it, and that right there alone is what caused so many chaotic, unwanted circumstances that happen in our life because of we doubt our capabilities to use our intuitive skills. Because all of us are intuitive, whether we believe it or not. We just got to harness that inner power, and be aware of that we are able to do this. If we don't believe we can do this, we're not gonna be able to do this. Meaning use our intuitive abilities. Visualizing, inward or mental vision. Inward, everything that happens within you, for you, within your life, everything is externalized, you know, not externalized, but internalized. Not ex. I'm sorry. It's internalized. That's why I put so much emphasis on the inner guidance. This is the thing within you that guides you throughout your life, so you won't have no mishaps or any of those unwanted experiences that I ain't gonna say occasionally, because a lot of unwanted experiences happen because we are not aware that we have an inner guidance. Moving on. Visioning. Life creative power taking particular form. The act of producing in your mind the picture of any contemplated idea. Any contemplated idea. You is the one constructing your reality, whether you know how you doing it, whether you believe in what I'm talking about. You are the one that's let me slow down. You are the one constructing your reality based upon what you know about yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your energy. You are the one, whatever situation you have going on that you're not satisfied with, then you have to change your thinking process. Because once you change your thinking process, that's going to start the whole process of reconstructing things within your life. But you have to start with you being aware of the thoughts that you are sending out to the universe. Word. Your individual thought is the specialized word or action of the originating mind power itself. That which starts the etheric vibration of life moving into a special direction corresponding to the word which originates special movement. The seed which gives rise to the thing. The seed that gives rise to the thing. That's what words are. The seed, that's why you have to be careful what you're saying about yourself and what you're saying about others. And this is where that notion comes from when they say that, you know, all of us are one. You know what I mean? Because it's like we are extracting outwardly and we became multiple of beings, human beings. But since we have this illusion of being separate, we think all of us are different. All of us do have individual, capabilities of thinking for ourselves. That was make us different. But like once we come together, we'll know that we'll find out that we're all of us not that much different, because all of us want to be happy, all of us want to have love, All of us want to be healthy. All of us want to be financially stable. You know what I'm saying? All of us want the same things. We just have a different way of going about getting those things based upon our uniqueness. But all of us want the same thing. Moving on. Plant your word seeds in the subjective mind of the universe, and you are sure to receive a corresponding thing. It says here, how to get what you want. Law of attraction. You can give direction to a particular quality of creative force, which, if held in place by the will, it is absolutely certain to reproduce in a corresponding physical form. What every human being wants is more liberty, more joy in life. The degrees of liveliness and liberty are invariably manifested by varying degrees of intelligence. Your intelligence is another thing, is that constructing your reality. Based upon the knowledge you have, once again, of yourself and the things that you want within this world, you have to know. I once said in one of my previous videos about belief. Belief is a good thing to have. It really is. But the thing is about belief is that it's the starting process of you knowing things. But you have to believe in it first to start knowing. Knowing is stronger than belief. But belief is the process of you knowing who you are and what you want in life. Believe. I believe that I want to be a doctor. I believe that I want to be an owner of multiple business. So that belief moves you in the direction to knowing that, hey, I am that. I can have that. I know these things because I'm the one. I'm the one thinking the thoughts. I'm the one that's going to take the action that needs to be done for me to get those things. So faith, belief, starts you to having faith. And belief turns into knowing. Don't forget that. Hold on. What you would term inanimate life represents the lower forms of intelligence. In plant life, you recognize a higher degree of intelligence. The inanimate, the plant, the animal, and the human all represents the same universal life. The only difference is in the varying degrees of, I say intelligence, intelligence. The greater your intelligence, the more easy you can call into action the highest order of creative energy. The more highly you develop your intelligence, not intellectual or book learning, but self education, the more you will find your old limited ideas of what you are not, cannot be, do, or have, imperceptibly slipping away by using your intelligence and resting upon it to guide you Godward. This will give you control over adversities, but it's still the same thing. Adverse circumstances, which you realize are, after all, only effective of lower degrees of intelligence, which will deliver you from falling a victim of material universe. You are not a victim, and you're not. You are part of the universe. What it meant by a lower degree of intelligence is one that is unable to recognize itself as being one of the highest forms of life. The highest degrees of intelligence is that form of life which is able to recognize itself as related to all existence intelligence. We've been recognizing our difficulties, but we can also recognize our intelligence as being able to draw to itself from out the whole universe ways and means of meeting the perplexity problems. When you are convinced that every physical circumstance or thing has its origin or corresponding activities of the mind, thought, you are able to conquer adversity in any form, and that is totally accurate because, like I said once before, I experienced, but it's nothing like experience you getting yourself in a mental space that you just know what it is that you have to do within that moment in time. It's nothing like that because it's nothing like getting advice and getting counsel from your own higher self because it knows everything. It knows everything. This is what they say. This is what they're talking about. By God is the Father of, you know, everything, which is your higher self, your inner guide. Because you then know you can always control your thoughts. You must always be determined to do your own thinking. About wrapping this up, yeah. But I just wanted to do this because I know I said that I was going to do a live. So this is what I did instead of doing a live. But this is still, some type of knowledge that you all can use to better construct the reality you want to manifest, which I call, what I call it, the new vibrational reality. The new vibrational reality. Life never listens to us. It responds to our predominant frequency vibration pattern of thinking and feelings. It is a science and can be learned. We attract more of what we think about and how we feel most of the time. Most of us inherit our thoughts just as we inherit the color of your eyes. To control your circumstances, you must think for yourself and in your own way, irrespective of that which your ancestors thought. Even though some of them might have brought desired results. Yeah, and that's be the thing. It's like we just be so receptive to a lot of the ideas that our relatives or people that we're interacting with on a regular basis. We be just so caught up on what they told us and stuff like that. But the thing is, until you do what you have to do in order to make your life better for you, things gonna keep happening. I don't care if something happened good for the next person and they gave you an idea. What's good for somebody else is, sometimes it ain't good for you. But it's up for you to decide what's good for you within that moment in time because, vice versa. It can be either or, like what's good for them may be good for you. But you have to be the one to determine if it's good or not for you. All right. Your ability at all times to use the unfailing power which is yours depends upon your recognition of its presence. The reason for your times of failure is because of the stressing conditions fully observing your attention, which allows you to become unable to think of anything else, which is so true. I'm gonna read this again. Your ability at all times to use the unfailing power which is yours depends upon your recognition of its presence. The reason for your times of failure is because of distressing conditions fully observing your attention. So that right alone, when you pay attention to something right there, if it's on a negative side, then this is what is holding you in this particular space that you want to be in or you don't want to be in. But it's based upon your observation. When you are observing something and you dislike it, the more you observe it, the more you giving your energy to it. The more you're giving your energy to it. So if you don't like something, change your focus towards something positive and focus wholeheartedly on that image. Focus on that image. At such times, you entirely lose sight of the fact that your individual mind is the instrument through in which the very highest form of intelligence and unfailing power is endeavor to express itself. Also that it always takes the form of your habitual thought. Therefore, when you believe that a situation is beyond your control, so it is. When you believe that a situation, which means that you control. Let me read that again. Therefore, when you believe that a situation is beyond your control, so it is, which means that your control of circumstances is entirely measured by your capacity to know what the life and intelligence in you is, and that it exists in the same life and intelligence which brought you into existence. What's that? No, I can't see. Yeah, hold on. Something just popped up on my screen and I can't even get to it. Okay, here we go. All right. Faith without works is dead. God without expression is a non-entity. Thought without action is powerful. Faith without works is dead. God without expression is a non-entity. Meaning, what they're trying to say is, if somebody is doing things and they don't have any faith in it, meaning that they have to not know how things are gonna be done, but they believe in it so strong that it's just gonna keep them going forth with these, whatever it is, a goal, whatever it is. They just know it's like it's still like a inner knowing. They know within themselves that they can't stop. They cannot stop. Whatever it is, they gotta keep pushing forward. Gotta keep moving because the end result is gonna be a real beautiful outcome that they want to get. So that's why they gotta keep moving forward because they have faith. Faith without works is dead. So you gotta keep on doing whatever you're doing to show that you believe in this thing, that you know that you're worthy of receiving whatever it is that you wanting. Your thoughts call into specific actions ideas of the very highest degrees of intelligence and power, which naturally controls the lesser degrees. The lesser modes of life are in bondage to the law of their own beings because they do not know the law. Therefore, when you know the laws of life, this knowledge gives you ideas which enables you to control all adverse circumstances and conditions. The end. We're done. So, thoughts are very powerful as well as energy, but it was more focusing on, how what we allow ourselves to observe within our minds. Everything happen according to us. It ain't no outside. It's not other people. Other people are triggers. Other people are mirrors, but it's not the other people that are doing anything to us. It's us. We are the ones that are doing everything to us. We are the ones. Yeah. So until we change our thinking process, then nothing is gonna happen. Everything is gonna stay the same. And this concludes this law of attraction session. I hope everyone has a beautiful day. Well, have a beautiful night because it's what it doesn't matter what time it is. But all right, until next time. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. We're manifesting fabulous. For more IGC Law of Attraction content, please subscribe to my channel. If you would like a free 15-minute consultation, please contact Mr. Lady Z Consultant at gmail.com.